So just canceled on Twitch then is what I'm hearing.
And we're live.
Must hide Amazon logo flat. Okay, we're good.
Richard, you got a joke for us?
Nope.
You
Not
coward!
that one.
Okay,
Hey
put it in the
everyone, it's
Discord.
Wednesday. Welcome back to Recall Knowledge presents Outlaws of Alkenstar, a show where Pathfinder enthusiasts play through your favorite adventure paths. I am your GM Steve, and I'm joined by Ricardo, Richard, Ninna, and Tommy. Go ahead, everyone, and say, howdy, Outlaws.
Howdy.
Hola.
It's- I've missed so much being gone a month and not hearing Nina shout howdy at the top of her voice. Damn it.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and everyone joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you've been with us before, welcome back. It's nice to have you with us again. We have been off for a few weeks in the name of self-care and vacations, and we're finally at the threshold of catching a glimpse of Mugland himself up close and personal. And don't worry, guys, it's gonna be a-okay. Everything's gonna go swimmingly perfect because it always does in RPGs, right?
Yes, every time.
You make a plan, you see it through, and everything is perfect.
Always.
That's what makes these games fun.
Never fails.
Yeah, it's something you can count on in life to be solid. Literally never change. Ever.
One for
The ideas you
everyone.
had a year ago will hold true. For sure.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We'll see if, especially Saruk, if the moral compass can still point north or point true after it's all said and done, which I guess north and true is the same.
True north.
Is Galarian also have like a true magnetic north?
And don't worry about it. Alignment is canceled now anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. As of today, alignment is canceled. But before we actually get started tonight, you guys know the drill. Tonight, we are once again sponsored by our longtime friend of the show. Did you guys hear that?
What?
No, my headphones are kind of jacked, but
I hate to do this. I know we're live. 1 second, I gotta go check on something real quick.
You have to do the tongues first.
we gotta get. Oh, I got the top. Hold on.
It was danger.
Do. I did it. For legal reasons, Phil Collins, don't sue me.
I'm also realizing at this point I didn't copy the whole script properly into the...
You didn't! I worked so hard on this!
I missed a bit. This will be edited, don't worry.
No.
Oh, okay, so all of this, I'm editing it back into the script. 1 second. This all goes before the sponsor bit. I guess I didn't save it properly. I put it in here.
He didn't at all. This is what we get.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, it was funny, wasn't it?
Very confused about what
Proofreading.
you're doing.
Jeez, guys.
Do we just want to
Reset.
say molten
Reset.
hosting? Use the code recall knowledge, one word!
One word.
Guys, you never believe it. That noise, it was a knock at my door.
Was it Steve?
No way. For real?
You know? Yes, it was the Pinkertons.
What?
No way.
I am dead serious, and my family is in shambles about it. My kids are in tears right now on their computer playing Roblox.
I didn't realize you were trying to break into the MTG influencer space. Did you get cards from an unreleased set?
And do you have my address for no unrelated reason?
Ironically, not your current one, no. But that's beside the point, Tommy. No. They showed up on their own. They heard about our hit Pathfinder 2nd Edition actual play, and they demanded we replace our normal ad read with this one they wrote right here.
No way.
Rick, we have to, for the sake of my family. Everyone put on a happy face. We're going to get through this. It'll be great. Let me just forward you guys the script as well right now.
Yeah, put that in your fax machine.
Ma, get off the phone. I'm sending a fax.
Before we get started, tonight we are once again sponsored by our longtime friends of the show, Molten Hosting.
Oh, why is this so hot all the time?
Molten Hosting. I forgot about the drum roll. It wasn't in the script they gave me. Damn you, Pinkertons. Molten Hosting is a cloud provider for your Foundry VTT server with a long and honorable history of providing quality service to the people.
Hey, Steve, you know who else has a long and honorable history? The Pinkertons. They've been guardians and protectors of organizations since 1850.
And they definitely don't union bust? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there must have been a question mark there.
Wow, 1850, huh? But they also have so much in common with the company that we promote in this space on a week-by-week basis, Molten Hosting.
This man's out here just skipping lines.
Yep, just saying everybody's lines.
It's a free-for-all. Everyone just grab whatever line you want.
Grab a line, guys. Grab a line.
Oh, wow, really?
Let me tell you
It's
what I
hard.
mean.
Okay, you try reading a script when there's a man with a gun pointed at your children. It's not as easy as it sounds.
I'm so glad.
1850, huh? The Wild West. They probably know a thing or two about that in Alkenstar, huh?
And how. But they also have so much in common with that company we promote in this space on a week-by-week basis, Molten Hosting.
Oh, wow, really?
Let me tell you what I mean. Like the Pinkertons, Molten Hosting treats your data as a top priority. They upload it to the cloud and back it up on a regular basis so you know it's safe in their hands.
I was just waiting if Steve was going to read my line too. And you should always surrender your property to lawful authority.
Indeed.
For sure.
I hate this.
Chin up, Rick. You know, Molten Hosting plans are cheap and affordable. What's to hate? Molten Hosting is a company for the working class.
Just like the Pinkertons, who absolutely do not have a history of leaving a bloody mark on protests and strikes for centuries.
Including infiltrating Amazon warehouses to spy on employees and working with Starbucks to prevent workers from forming unions.
In the end, it's the goal of the Pinkertons to protect capital interests at any and all costs. And that's just how Molten Hosting feels about your VTT experience. They'll keep your data safe, and if something goes wrong, you can restore a backup with one easy click.
It's definitely always the better idea to solve problems in ways like this, as opposed to shaking down a person who had an accident and freaking out their whole family in the process, which is something the Pinkertons would never do. Nope, again, I thought there'd be a question mark there.
So be sure to check out Molten Hosting. It's a great service which keeps the things we love safe, just like the Pinkertons.
Ooh.
Woo!
Ooh.
Hey.
Oh, okay, they're gone.
Yeah, fuck that and fuck them. Not Molten Hosting, to be clear. Fuck the Pinkertons.
Fuck that and fuck them. Not Molten Hosting, to be clear. Fuck the Pinkertons. Oh, wait, I read your line again.
You
Damn
did.
it.
You did that on purpose.
No, not at all. Well-oiled machine. Anyway, big thanks to Molten Hosting. Make sure to head on over to moltenhosting.com to check out what they have to offer. Their servers let you host your Foundry VTT instances in the cloud at locations all over the world. It's what we use on the channel, and it's what we recommend you use as well. Yep, and big thanks to Tommy for writing tonight's script and stepping up and coming up with this Pinkerton ad. He doesn't have any like anti-corporate Pinkerton
No,
hatred.
it's not written
bubbling,
all over
so-
my entire look.
Nope, not at all. Big thanks, Molten. With your backups, which can range from weekly to nightly depending on your level of service, you'll never be forced to cancel a session last minute due to a bad download, module, or deletion of files. One click gets you back on your track in just minutes. And for all newcomers to the service, make sure you use that magical code. Use the word recall knowledge.
One word.
One word.
It's one word, guys. And you can check out what they have to offer. You can get your entire first month of service for free on us and on Molten Hosting for checking them out. Do so if you don't have cloud hosting already. You don't know what you're missing. Head on over to moltenhosting.com.
You should literally put the lines in different order next time, Tommy, and see what happens.
Man, I might do. Just like misspell people's names. Chaos mode activate. Roll 1d6 for lines. Shit, there are 5 of us. What happens on 6?
We all read it.
Just shout.
This is a sign of what's to come tonight. How could you possibly tune out after this awesome intro? So Rick, do you got the dance party ready to go? Do we still got a dance party around here? I don't know. We do.
Ooh,
It's
this
kinda
is
loud.
new.
should be loud.
Celebrate.
Let's go.
All right, everyone, that's going to do it for announcements. Viewers, feel free to sit back and relax or dance with us. It doesn't matter. Players,
Dance now.
let's jump into episode 16 of Outlaws of Alkenstar, Cradle of Quartz, written by Scott DeYoung.
All right, I think that does it for now.
Wow, that's some high energy. All right, we're back to Alkenstar. It's been a few weeks since we've played. I think it's been like 4 weeks. This was the 4th week since the last session we played. So perhaps you don't quite remember where we are, but the camera fades in high over the smoky, smoggy city of Alkenstar. The sprinkles starting to come in and wash the thin layer of grime from the smokestacks of the city. And as we push closer towards the street level, we see an interesting group. Not only are outlaws, however, they are also in tow with another group, the Gilded Gunners, decked out in gold decorative accessories all over their body, cufflinks, buttons, keychains, even suspenders with gold like lacing. Immediately anyone would pick them out as being gaudy as all hell, and they wouldn't be wrong. But they find themselves traveling by foot across the city, across Alkenstar, toward the Gilded Halls, their secret headquarters, where recently Saruk has strong-armed, we'll say, the current leader, Sabora Sharkosa, into taking our outlaws to their home with hopes of acquiring one Ambrose Mugland. Behind them, the steaming kingdom in disarray as they have, some people might say, kidnapped the Gilded Gunners from where they were. Others with a more lenient vocabulary might just say, they asked nicely and with pointed teeth. So we find ourselves pulling in close, the group mostly trudging along in silence, and we see Saruk walking, keeping an eye on the whole situation. There is a jaguar summoned at his side, walking along, that has a very concerned look on its face as it kind of looks up at Saruk, back at the outlaws trailing behind, and forward at the very deadly silent and focused Sharkosa leading the pack. Kijak sort of looks up. Saruk, I hope you know what you are doing.
Fake it till you make it has been the mood since we got here. I know enough.
To break the edicts of Majagua so openly, is it worth it?
I guess we'll see. I don't think there's anything I could have said politely to have had that end in anything other than a bloodbath that I was on not the good side of.
He nods and he looks. Let us hope we've avoided a bloodbath and not walked ourselves into one.
Yeah, let's do that.
He kind of like gets a little sullen and quiet. He sort of like locks back into step with you. You know, the camera pulls back a little bit with the rest of the outlaws, and you guys kind of have a moment to reflect on. We haven't had a moment for you guys to sort of interact and reflect on what's happened yet, but I'll give you guys a moment as we cross Alkenstar towards the Gilded Halls.
You see, Fuel, it would have only been a bloodbath, like they were talking about. I know you wanted a shower, but they don't do showers. They only do baths. I have no idea what you're saying, because you're talking to yourself. You're in a monologue, complaining still about that damn bath.
I've heard about that place for a while now, and it was a bit off limits. So, you know, I figured we'd have at least a few minutes to spend in there before, you know, things went haywire. Bloodbath I was kind of expecting, but maybe after the regular bath.
Wouldn't you want to do it in the other direction, bloodbath, then wash it off with the regular bath?
Why? Got a cigarette.
Of course. Here you go, friend. Well, tap it out and hand it over to. So, I mean, we get Mugland, then what? Fuel, then what? We go on our merry way.
We don't kill him. Killing him perpetuates a cycle that gets us nowhere.
You know, for how big you are, you sneak up on us quite a bit.
I've been walking right next to you this whole time. They heard the conversation about the bloodbath, looks over to Hal.
He's right. I think you were too busy looking over to them fingers on the other side, but couldn't imagine why.
What do you mean we don't? I mean, what are we going to do? Turn him in. Loveless will just turn him loose the second we do.
Yeah, I'm still working that out. Mugland is part of getting us all off the collective hook. Mugland hopefully leads us to Loveless. It's complicated, it's complex. At the end of it, hopefully there's a better future for this place.
I mean, if you can't pay Sharkosa, you probably can't pay Loveless anyways. Unless, you know.
This is true.
He goes to open mic night to hear her sing. What does that sound like? I can only imagine.
Sharkosa singing?
Loveless singing.
I could almost hear it in my head.
No, you can't.
I thought you were going to start with a ballad.
I spare everyone that atrocity.
Good.
So, Ruffy, are you gonna at least gonna give Mugland a chance to speak, or are you just gonna outright kill him the minute you see him?
Again, you're not... We can't kill him. I won't let you kill him. I understand there's several pounds of nuance here, but it can't end that way. There's a bigger picture here.
Yeah, speaking of pounds, he owes people money. We got to find out why he owes money. I know he owes you some things too.
This I agree with, but it can't end, and violence perpetuates violence, and it's a cycle, and it
affects people in cruel and unusual ways. Out and outcast to society.
Wait, what were y'all None of y'all were planning on killing him.
No.
My only concern was you this entire time. I could care less about Mugland.
This is true. This is just some other... Does anyone in the party speak Orcish out of character? In Orcish, Saruk says capitalist asshole.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Another cog in the machine that doesn't matter.
Oh, I understand.
I wonder why he's so broke. There's so much... Doesn't this man... Refresh my memory. When we met... Oh, well, we broke into his bank account. Maybe we're why he's broke.
Almost forgot about that.
Yeah, wasn't he already broke when we looked into his bank accounts, though? That's what I remembered.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
This has been weeks.
I mean, how would he go broke?
questions we can ask him when we get him.
Like his search for Pyronite, maybe? Maybe trying to develop it himself.
Blatant gambling addiction.
Hmm?
Salt from the desert.
Mm,
I mean, I didn't pay too much attention to all those numbers, so
yeah. We will figure it out. We will. There must be a solution that is good for the four of us and is good for Alkenstar. We will figure it out.
You guys have, by now, you've managed to cross over the raging Ustrati River that runs through the heart of Alkenstar, that splits Skyside from Smokeside, a clear divider between those who have and those who have not. And as you kind of cross over one of the dual bridges, you kind of like see the ships and the industry passing below you, things bringing goods in, boats carrying goods out of Alkenstar, cross over into the well-known Ferris Quarter, not too far from where the Barrel and Bullet Saloon actually is, as she continues to sort of guide you through the now familiar streets where you guys have been spending a lot of your time recently.
I think Refi's a bit perplexed by this revelation from the group. Kind of distances himself from them a bit and walks up closer towards Sharkosa.
As you kind of come up on her, she kind of gives like a backwards glance in your direction, and there's this faintest hint of like an eye roll.
I figured we'd always meet one of these days. Definitely wasn't expecting it like this.
Well, I thought I'd miss my chance. Word on the street was you've been out of the game for some time.
I wouldn't say out. Let's just say biding my time.
What was that name they had for you? The one that would strike fear into those who would cross Mugland? Uldork? Something like that.
Uldruk. The demon.
Right.
And what did they say about the Gilded Gunners? You always did your job. You always held your contract. That Sharkosa was a woman of her word. The fastest gun in Alkenstar, supposedly.
I mean, I never claimed to be the fastest gun in Alkenstar, but perhaps we'll find out before the day is out.
Maybe. I mean, seems like the rest of that was a bunch of rumors and hearsay anyway, so I bet none of it was true.
It is always unfortunate when the man cannot live up to the myth. She looks back past you at Saruk. This is the lot you've aligned yourself with. This feels like you could do better.
I don't know. They seem to have gotten you in quite a pinch, haven't they? Even surprised me a bit.
I mean, Steaming Kingdom is holy ground. I thought I was dealing with... Well, to be quite honest, I thought I was dealing with the famous Uldruk.
You were dealing with a cop.
Yes, I see that now.
The great Sharkosa. Undone by a cop.
Perhaps, or perhaps I have you right where I want you. And she smiles. Come on, right up here. And she rounds like one corner, and you find yourselves basically just a few blocks essentially from the Barrel and Bullet, something that wouldn't take more than like a 10 or 15 minute jaunt from where Phoebe sort of makes her home. And she nods up at a sort of blacksmithing shop up ahead. She says, "We're almost home." He actually does care about you, you know.
Rook. It's a bit green around the tufts, but he does.
She shakes her head absently. No. Mugland. When he heard I was going to meet you, he made me promise not to harm you.
Probably wanted to do it himself.
Probably. Love makes us do crazy things. You guys kind of find yourself standing at the entrance to the Gilded Halls. So you find yourselves basically at a nondescript looking blacksmith. It feels like you're almost being toyed with or played with, because this is not a secret base or a hideout. It's just a smithy. Doesn't even really have like a proper name on it. She sort of nods and pulls up her hood, because the rain has started coming down like pretty heavy by this point, making it like everyone's starting to get soaked to the bone. And then she says, all right then, inside. And her cronies sort of go into the smithy.
I'll follow closely behind her.
Yeah, me too.
I just turn towards everyone and say, just keep alert.
Always.
Hal, you've seen this from the outside before, because this is the same place that you were led to earlier, and you do see that like you kind of go inside, everyone gets in, there is the sort of like bell rings on the smithy. The smithy who's like working kind of looks up, sees Sharkosa, and does like almost like a little like honorable bow or some sort of gesture that obviously is a sign of respect amongst the Gilded Gunners, but he kind of pauses like halfway as he looks up as you guys kind of come in behind. And she just gives him a nod, and the man sort of eyeing you sort of moves over to the side of the shop where there's this long like rug that sort of covers the floor, and he like literally like sort of like rolls it, like drags it over and just like half rolls it up, and it shows there's like basically a secret trapdoor here in the floor of the smithy. And he bends down and kind of goes around the edge and catches a latch and opens it, giving a ladder that leads like straight down. And Sharkosa just sort of says, ladies first. And then she sort of descends first down the rungs of the ladder, and you can see looking down, it doesn't go down very far, but there is a sort of hidden underground, for lack of a better term, fortress here beneath the smithy, right in the Ferris quarter.
I'll look towards the blacksmith, and I'll tell him, friend, don't stop. Keep hammering.
He nods, kind of confused at this, but he does sort of go back to his work. But he's definitely side-eyeing a lot of you. Looking around, I mean, it looks like a fully functional workshop with a forge and an anvil and blades and stuff for sale. Mostly, not really blades so much. I mean, there is mostly looks like it's around like horse husbandry and horseshoes, bridles, things of that nature. Things that is mostly focused towards like the industry here in Alkenstar more than like an open weaponsmith or anything like that.
Huh. Would you look at all this stuff? I didn't even know horses got married.
Saruk is going to go down the ladder.
That's a bit of a stretch.
It does look like the rest of these Gilded Gunners are, so Sharkosa's already gone down. The rest of the Gilded Gunners are here, just kind of like narrowing their eyes at you and waiting for you guys to kind of go down. So Saruk goes ahead and goes first.
I want to stay close to Sharkosa, so I think I would kind of go right after her.
I'll go right behind Saruk. Saruk, where'd you go? Abdul!
I fell in the pit.
It's a trap!
But yeah, like one by one, you can easily descend down, like Hal and Saruk and then Anita. So Refi, you're kind of the last one left up. The three of them, like sort of grinning at you, eyeing your weapon, eyeing their own. You can see they're looking at you. The kind of whispers between them. You have a bit of a reputation that precedes you here.
I'll just give him a wink. I try to stay close to Annie, so.
It is a ladder, so there is the sort of like you guys are coming down. But once you go down, you can see like basically one of them kind of descends behind you, and the other two stay up, and sort of like you hear the trapdoor sort of close above, and then like the lock like latch again, and the dragging of the rug as it covers it back up.
As we're descending down and I reach the bottom, and I assume it's a little bit dark here before we head into the hallway.
There is pockets of darkness here, although they do have burning oil lamps down here that sort of at least give it dim light with pockets of darkness.
I'll lean into Sharkosa and say, don't get any good ideas. You will never see me coming.
I mean, this is a bit of a coercion here, more than it's not really demoralized so much, but it's on the like coercion scale. I just want to see if you can give me like a sort of intimidation roll. We can see how intimidating you're coming across to Sharkosa.
Do I get any kind of status or circumstance bonus because I disappear into the dim light of the shadows?
We can give you, because you are very obviously here in the dim pockets of light, you are saying how you can't be seen. Yeah, you know what? I'll give you a +1 circumstance bonus for shadows. Just to show again, this is our Sabora Sharkosa artwork.
Intimidate +1. Won't matter.
All right, 7. Not hitting probably as hard as you would have liked. You're not as intimidating as Saruk, apparently, with his freaking like 19s and 20s all last session. She takes what you say, and you are sort of doing this sort of like disappearing thing, but it doesn't rattle her. And the only response she gives is she kind of like snickers to herself and laughs is, "Oh, honey, you're in my playground now." As she kind of goes to the door, like nearest, not the nearest door, but she kind of turns here, and she like opens the door and sort of like gives you guys like a motion to follow her. And you can see that she's heading down this sort of dimly lit hallway towards a well-lit room. And it opens up into a fairly nice looking dining hall, like a sort of meeting room. In this room specifically, there's a nice bright light. There's a large table, padded chairs, nice luxurious chairs, fills the center. The walls are decorated with paintings. Are a little odd, but it's very calm pastoral scenes, stuff you wouldn't normally find in Alkenstar. On the western wall, there's this really nice looking carved sideboard, and it's got covered in like small golden like trinkets, trophies, and sculptures. You can see there's doors that kind of lead out in multiple directions. She kind of steps into the room and motions for you all to go ahead and like take a seat, and then she slides into like the seat at the head of the table, whispers to one of the sort of cronies that kind of followed the back you guys in behind to fetch a pitcher of ale and some snacks for their guests. Two of them sort of nod and head off to some of the kitchen stores to get you guys a little bit of refreshments. So Sharkosa, sort of with her like wet, muddy boots, sort of leans back in her chair and puts them on the table, like kicks them up and like sort of cross, and her like it like gets a little bit of mud on the table, and she sort of reclines back. I'm assuming you guys all take seats, or are you guys just standing awkwardly behind the chairs? Like, what do you guys do? Right? She kicks back. She invites you guys to sit down, and she like kicks her feet up, and just sort of looks very relaxed.
I think Saruk is gonna sit, but as we're doing so, this feels vaguely like sit down while we get everybody to shoot you. So I would like to sense me some motive if I could.
Sure. You can give me a secret sense motive check.
Alrighty, and today and for the rest of this level, I feel like my leads are Sharkosa and Mugland. So, yeah.
I will say what you sense is not necessarily like the immediate, like you're about to be set up to be shot, but you are feeling a bit of the fact that Sharkosa is, you know, as opposed to catching her on her back foot, catching her, you know, in a birthday suit in a bathhouse and getting the drop on her, she looks a lot more relaxed and comfortable at home, but you don't get the immediate suspicion that she's about to gun you down. This isn't like let's set them up and then immediately if someone's gonna bust through the door and gun you guys down. You actually feel like this is a legit sit down negotiation talk.
Ruffy doesn't sit. He leans against the wall.
Annie would like to take a seat, but she would also like have like a smoke stick on one hand just in case.
What's Hal doing?
I'll sit down. I think he takes his copish out and he puts it into the crease where the door meets the door jamb, just so it can't be pushed open from the other side, and it's easily accessible as it probably eye level as he sits down. He just slams it in there.
Yep, it kind of jams right in there nice and tight. So, she says, sort of nonchalantly, where do we go from here?
As we discussed, you give us Mugland. We will see to it that Mugland pays you back what he owes you. And then we go our separate ways, never to see one another again. It's simple.
It's quite simple. We don't tell anybody about your contract. Contract is failed because he pays you. And you keep your good name. And maybe we do business down the line.
The problem is, we'd know. Do you have any idea what it takes to be in my position? The stress that comes with maintaining some semblance of control over hooligans. And then she kind of like drifts her eyes towards Refi a bit and then says, well, maybe you do.
Yeah, control over what lurks in the shadows or the darkness of the night.
Alkenstar in
Yes.
a nutshell.
Yes, I do.
Can we at least agree on one thing? Neither side here wants any bloodshed. Enough blood has been spilled.
I was going to disagree with you on the grounds that the Gilded Gunners have fired upon us on 2 separate occasions, and many people are dead because of it. But yes, enough has been spilled.
Oh, no, never getting any kind of bath today.
I don't have a problem with you taking Mugland off my hands per se. He's hired me for a job. That job is in motion, and it will be completed by the day's end. Once that job is complete, in theory, his debts will have been settled. But if you would like to expedite the process, and you're willing to settle his debts now, we can start there.
Mugland didn't really have enough to pay you.
He did not. We took this job on consignment, shall we say.
Did he offer any sort of like collateral in case he wasn't going to be able to pay you?
Presumably that is why he is here right now.
Is that it?
Partially correct. He did put down a considerable sum of gold to get our attention. You don't hire us without a retainer. I'm not that foolish. But I found when you're doing business with someone, so long as you're willing to keep a key person close by in your care, it usually makes things go smoother for both sides, so they don't get any funny business. So Mugland was offered up as a bit of collateral.
Turn for the assassination of Olamon Kosawana, yes?
You know so much, Saruk. How is Kosawana doing?
I think it is success. If you were shooting over my perception DC is 24 versus her, what with pursuing a lead, so.
There's no sense that she's like lying or doing anything. She just seems genuinely interested in asking about Kosawana. And she says, I assume that the death of Kosawana is non-negotiable from your end?
No, he lives. He's done nothing wrong.
Interesting, because I was just told yesterday that it was done.
In Alkenstar, well, you know, I'm not going to preach to you about your own damn city. You've shot at us twice. You've sent people to try to have us killed twice. I did not expect to be shooting straight with you at all. I expected to walk into a bathhouse and walk out with holes in me.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I've sent one set of people to send a message. That message was to steer clear. No intent of killing you. Because if the Gilded Gunners want you dead, generally speaking, you end up dead.
Next time, maybe they shouldn't shoot for vital organs then.
Alas, the second assassin you're talking about, I must admit, they might have gone a little rogue. The directions were not to explicitly murder you. They might have gotten a little creative in their parameters of their mission.
And several people are dead because of it. You know what? While we're waiting here,
Several people are dead in your wake as well. There is blood spilled. It's the way of the city.
there is. What is the policy of someone who lives in this city and who is managing a very large organization in regards to these people? We have nothing to do but wait for food and drink. Satiate my curiosity, would you?
I think by this point they're definitely like kind of passing out cups, pitchers of ale on the table, and even have brought out like a whiskey bottle and some shot glasses so you guys can help yourselves to whatever you would so desire. And there's like a sort of spread, not anything as fancy as you would get in the Barrel and Bullet Saloon. It's mostly like a trail mix, a little bit of like nuts and some granola, and a very small amount of like grapes. Not even raisins, just like grapes that have been sliced small and sprinkled throughout.
Interesting question that I don't know the answer to. What is, if I, without saying anything out loud or asking, if I wanted to determine if any of this had been poisoned, what's the roll for that? So like crafting?
Well, you probably don't have food lore, I assume, but you do have cooking. Do you have cooking?
Not today. Today I'm legal lore and underworld lore for when dealing with these guys and for when we get arrested.
I'm just gonna say it's probably there might be a specific skill for it. If any of you know it, feel free to call it out. But otherwise, it's probably just gonna fall into like a sort of either a seek action or like just a straight recall knowledge on.
How do you feel about sense motiving the people who are bringing the food?
Yeah, I'm fine with sense motive just in the situation. That works for me.
So this is presumably not pointed at Sharkosa, so there's not the pursuit lead here. Question marks.
Yeah, as you're looking over, the Gilded Gunners that are bringing you the food are a little bit more tense than Sharkosa. They themselves are also like pouring and drinking, and Sharkosa has reached out for the mug and has poured herself. We'll just say she's poured herself a shot of whiskey. Even the Gilded Gunners you watch is like one of them has like casually like grabbed a little bit of nuts and snacked on it. They don't seem to be giving off the impression that they're attempting to pull one over on you or poison you.
I think if they're eating and drinking as well, that's probably enough. So Saruk will down a shot.
They definitely know the routine of like bringing someone that you're not necessarily friends with into their home and like going through the routines of we drink first, we eat first to prove that we're not trying to poison you. There's a lot of like unspoken underworld rituals going on here that oddly mirror probably like high noble rituals as well.
Funny how that works.
Sharkosa gets a little like pocketbook she has out. She says, so if you're interested in buying out Mugland's debt, so to speak, we're looking at just a tad under 2,500 gold.
I see. I'm just flipping through the... It's wild. I feel like I should have asked this question at the beginning of the campaign, but I feel like in assets, Mugland probably has that. But I don't know shit for nothing about this man, but I think Saruk might.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably know what you've heard about him, at least. I mean, you know that he's a businessman. You know that he owns illicit bank. You know, Refi has talked potentially about some of... How much have you openly talked about Mugland? I guess you haven't, right, Refi?
Only recently to Saruk, more to Annie, and mainly just general warnings about him. And
if you'd like for Saruk, you can have him do a sort of lore, whether that's an Alkenstar lore or an underworld lore, something in that nature.
Huck the underworld
You
lore.
have Mugland as a lead, so you definitely studied up on him.
The third time, here's some question marks.
I mean, everything you know about Mugland seems to point to him being a super successful businessman, a super successful criminal. You find it hard to believe that he wouldn't have, if that's the debt he owes, for him to not be able to just pay it in lieu of being here seems odd to you.
I struggle to believe that isn't walking around money for the man. I think I can talk it out of him.
Oh, you'd like to speak with the prisoner.
Yeah. Like we discussed. You bring us here, we take Mugland, I'll get the money, and then we go our separate ways. We're now on the next step. Bring us Mugland, please.
Well, I can't quite bring him to you, but I can do the next best thing. I can take you to him.
Sure, why not?
She nods and she sort of stands up from her chair and says, "If you please follow me." And she sort of leads you sort of out of the back of this room. She gets up and she sort of leads Saruk out of the room. Ruffy, Hal, Anita, you're kind of left here.
I'm definitely gonna wave for the team as I'm going.
Anita turns to Ruffy after hearing like how much Mugland owes, and she says, "It's mad that Mugland couldn't pay 2,000 gold considering all the real estate and the bank, and I never knew that he was that broke. 2,000 gold, you'd think he'd have more."
I was never let in on the complete inner workings, never let in on the business side. He's thrown parties that must have cost more than that.
And doesn't he have that huge house up at, like, I forgot what it's called, like where the fingers are at? Like, that's where he was thrown, right?
Wait, are we not going with Saruk?
We are, says Saruk, who is again standing very close to you.
Sharkosa seems to be a little annoyed at this situation, but sort of allows it to happen, doesn't like stop it from happening, but you can see that she rolls her eyes as you insist on all coming.
I think once Sharkos is out the room, but before Saruk steps out, I'm gonna like lean into Refi. Get whatever you need to out of your system. Yell at him, hurt him if you must. Don't kill him. And just nod.
If he just pours a shot of whiskey, downs it, pours another shot of whiskey, and downs it.
You ready for this, Ruffy?
Let's go see Dad.
All right.
You sort of lead through these like sort of tunnels from this nice meeting room. You can tell that the room that you guys have been in is sort of presented in a over-the-top way. It's definitely there to entertain guests. And as you step here, you start feeling like you're more in that sort of, you know, an underground hidden lair that's not as well upkept. And as you kind of come down this like twisting sort of hallway, it comes around the corner and you see a sort of prison, a set of iron bars dividing this hallway into a single cell with a latch door. This hallway sort of extends. There's a door at the end, but your eyes are focused on the man who is sort of right now rolled up, corner like knees up in his chest, laying on a really shitty cot with like broken straw and stains everywhere, blood stains on the floor. As like Sharkosa kind of gives a whistle, kind of rolls over and looks at the lot of you.
Okay, out of character. I didn't realize there were toe rings. Oh my god.
Yes, so that we'll leave this one up for a second while I look for the other one. This is a classy Mugland in the way that Refi remembers him, right? You guys kind of step into the room and you see kind of rolled over a miserable looking halfling man. His face is like kind of bruised. He's got like a black eye. There's like a busted lip on him. His clothes look sort of dirty, torn, stained a little bit. And his hair is just kind of in this disheveled mess. And laying in a cell before you, Saruk and Co, is none other than the legendary Ambrose Mugland. And I think as you kind of walk in, he looks kind of at you and past you, a little bit of panic in his face, but his eyes are like searching wildly in the room. And then I think kind of bringing up the rear of the group is Reficule. You see as his eyes look at you, they go a little bit wide, almost as if he's seen a ghost. It's Reficule's reaction.
He just stares, doesn't say anything for the moment.
And I think in that sort of intense moment right before you meet Mugland, that's where we're going to stop and take our break for the night, because it'll give me a chance to find the stupid handout that should exist as a clickable thing right there in the story, but it's not. we're a little rusty getting things back on, but
Nah, the wellest oiled machine. I don't even know what you're talking about. This is the greatest thing, the bestest thing. I had food and whiskey, and I didn't die. It's a successful Pathfinder game.
and phenomenally CJ with the resub, 23
Hey.
months. Thank you, CJ. Welcome back. We haven't been around for a month for you to extra resub, so thanks for doing that. For everyone else, just like phenomenally CJ with 23 months resub, take the time to support us here. Twitch.tv/ReconKnowledge. You can give us your Amazon Prime subs. We're streaming lives Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Head over to youtube.com/ReconKnowledge. You can get access to all of our past shows. Everything that's releasing is being edited and put up on YouTube on Fridays at noon. It's a great place to catch up everything you might have missed if you're just saying what the heck is this show, and a good place to watch for future episodes in case you miss us on our live stream. Otherwise, we're going to be back in about 10 minutes with more Outlaws of Alkenstar, the phenomenally Mugland, to go with phenomenally CJ. And I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes looking for the handout and Googling and listening to Irish accents so I can make a fool of myself when we come back. It's going to be the worst thing you've ever seen.
Hell
Don't
yeah.
miss it. So we're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Mugland really should have saved his bank account by uploading his...
What were you saying about wanting
Pathfinder.com.
Mugland feet pics,
Don't worry about it. Don't
Oh,
worry
we're
about
live again. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Welcome back to Outlaws of Alkenstar, Cradle of Quartz. We are in the end game here as our outlaws have come face to face with none other than Ambrose Mugland. I'll tell you what I didn't do at break was listen to Irish accents.
Mugland.
All right, second break. This man's gonna go listen to
Just
insert.
imagine that you have something up your throat. I guess.
Something in my throat. I don't know.
Wow,
I can't do it.
Sean
It's going
Connery,
to
you're
be-
not.
that Sean Connery was Scottish.
Sean Connery is
He is.
Scottish. Yeah.
Yeah, those were more.
Out here gaslighting.
I'm sorry. I guess I just can't do it.
I can't yet. It's so fucking. You just got to harness the power of Tiny Tommy.
I
Who
just
is a
got to-
national treasure.
Oh yeah, the
Have
tiny
to tell
Tommy.
yourself,
That's right. I
there
forgot
it is.
about the tiny Tommy.
God, how am I gonna take this man seriously if he has this bad of a damn it?
Tiny Tommy in Mugland. There we go. Okay, that's what we're going for now.
I'll just roleplay both of them. It'll be fine. It won't be weird at all.
And I closed it right before we went live. Here we go. So this is the nice full artwork of Ambrose Mugland beaten up, his suit uncharacteristically torn. He's got, a bloody lip, cut on his face, a little bit of bruise. It looks like he's been roughed up quite a bit in here. He sort of rolls out of his cot, kind of comes to the bars, and he like grips it, and he's like looking silently at the whole group, if you like, in the room.
So I guess first things first, I have a second one of these because I bought a second one of these on the grounds that I was going to need more than one. First was for Sharkosa, the second is for now. I'm going to imbibe the second Silver Tongue Mutagen. I guess. I feel like if Saruk takes a knee, Saruk is still head and shoulders taller. So I guess I'm just going to sit on the floor, whatever is like as close to like eye level as I can get to the man. Bad day?
There's so much pressure on the voice. I just showed you 30 seconds ago I can't do it, and yet we're expecting the tiny Tommy to come out.
You had a fucking month. Man, that just sounds like a bad Indian accent. Like,
It does sound like a bad Indian accent, which is terrible because it's like the other side of the world. That's the worst thing ever. Okay.
fucking Richard.
Accents are one thing that I will never get. I'm gonna quit GMing and I'm going to learn accents for like 10 years, and then I'll come back.
Go to acting school, come back, play D&D. That's your accent.
Actually, the weird thing is 3 weeks ago I was actually better at it, and then I lost it over the last 3 weeks.
Mm.
Maybe that's probably a lie. What the fuck are you doing here? I'm Tiny Tommy, bitch.
This is a very serious moment for Reffy.
That is true. This is counterpointed by a very serious moment for Ruffy.
So you could just like, if like Mugland doesn't need to have an accent if you can't pull the accent off. We can all like convert it in
Oh.
our heads. Like I think tone of voice carries.
You've asked for this, and you're by God gonna get it.
All right, I've changed my mind. I've changed my tack. We kill it now. What we're doing here is the next question. First question. Bad day?
You could say that. It's one of the worst I've had.
You're one of the richest men in Alkenstar. How can you not, and then I'll nod over to where Sharkosa is, how can you not afford to pay her back?
I've told her. Lovelace is going to bring the money any minute. She's coming with it.
Any minute? How long have you been here?
Son, what's so funny?
How far we've both fallen. There's a bit of sweet irony that you've walked in to be so obviously double-crossed by Lovelace.
Oh, no, that's not right. We're partners, her and I. She's coming, I swear it.
Strong bond, eh?
Swear in one hand and shit in the other. Which one fills up faster? You're not that dumb. Come
He
on.
looks at his hands for a second, weighing off, like imagining shitting in one hand. No, it's all just a misunderstanding. We'll get out soon enough. I'll be back on top.
You don't honestly believe that, do you?
Well, I mean, it was your meddling that got me here.
Go on. I'm all ears.
At every step along the way, you've come and you've hamstrung us.
But whose was the first step? You are... This is the worst guns don't kill people argument I've heard in my entire life. Have we hamstrung you? Yes, but that's because you're trying to hurt people.
You robbed my fucking bank.
And that money wasn't exactly legal either, was it?
Well, that's neither here nor there. Gold is gold.
Is it? Is it really?
It is. Even Sharkosa's over there kind of nodding like, yeah, gold is gold.
Just like, why are you the way that you are over at Sharkosa?
And Mugland's like, did the plan work at least? And he's like directing his questions at Sharkosa, and she sort of shrugs. She's like, still underway. And then she kind of gives you the nod to let you take back over, because she's not trying to take over the conversation. She just is answering his questions.
Again, how long have you been waiting for Lovelace to bail you out? By the look of your clothes, it's been days.
I mean, she's a little busy.
Mm-hmm. And by the look of the rest of you, I'm assuming, and then looks over at Sharkosa, and I looked at you all laughing, and I lost the whole bit. By the look of you, you're not having a great time here. You haven't been unkind to this man, have you, Sharkosa?
I would never be unkind to a business partner.
Then I'll assume he roughed himself up.
Yeah, he's confused, and he's just like, so what? Are you here to fucking kill me?
No. Killing you solves nothing. If I kill you, there will be 10 more of you tomorrow when whoever inherits your... I wave generally outside. Or, better phrased, when whoever gets the scraps then pulls their way to the top.
So then what are we doing here? Son! And he like kind of like addresses you, Reficule. What are we doing here? Get me out.
Who are you calling for?
Calling for my boy.
Right now, we're worried about you. You want us to get you out. Between the four of us, we don't...
let's hold it right there, big guy. I never once asked you to get me out. You came in here asking to get me out. Lovelace, she's coming.
Did you not literally just say, son, get me out? Your exact words?
I mean, I assumed he was here to get me out. If he's not here to get me out, and he's not here to kill me, I assumed it was one of the two.
You know what? This is not how I thought this would go. You have officially piqued my interest. Let's say we can get you out of here. What benefit does that serve the four of us?
Money? I don't know. What is it you even want? Let's start there. What is it that's gotten such a bug up your ass that you can't let it go?
And Saruk leans back against the wall, doesn't say anything, leaves the space open.
And Refi walks out.
Mugland, you see him go, and for a moment, Saruk, you see like a genuine pained look on Mugland's face before he's able to sort of like stoically push his emotions back down. And he kind of, Mugland sort of steps back and just sits on the edge of the cot.
Lois ain't coming. She's not coming. She's not loyal to you, me, to anybody. She's just not gonna come. I'm sorry, but I knew her pretty well. We were pretty close. She's not coming to bail you out. She has her own agenda, and she doesn't care who she steps on or steps over.
And the people you are trying to step on are, how did you put it, foiling you at every turn, and there will be more turns at which you will be foiled. The cycle that you have caught yourself in has put you in, forgive me, Sharkosa, a rundown jail cell underneath a blacksmith. How the mighty have fallen indeed. Maybe you should consider other options. Maybe you should consider getting yourself out. Maybe you should consider how quickly could somebody like you get all of that wealth back if you just paid up your debts.
You guys have been conversing for a bit. You're making some pleas to him. He's got, at this point, he's already got like a pretty negative disposition towards you all, just based on everything that's happened in this campaign, including all the way back to the prequels. So we're going to say he's already sort of in an unhelpful attitude. But why don't we go ahead and start with make an impression to see if you're able to at least get him to consider your words.
Okay. Master at diplomacy, the highest mod it could be right now. An item bonus, a circumstance bonus. I just want to roll as good as I did last time. A 31 is a good place to start, I feel like.
A 31. So you've basically managed to turn him from unhelpful into neutral. He's no longer actively hating you. You've managed to at least get him to see that perhaps there is some truth to your words, right? As much as he doesn't want to admit it. You see him, his sort of hardened exterior melts just a bit. He's not helpful, he's not friendly, but he's no longer unhelpful. He's no longer like in that negative attitude towards you. So you see him sort of like almost like a little kid, like dangling his feet off the edge of the bed, his little toe rings and his black-haired feet kind of dangling there. So then what is it you want from me?
Peace. To not be wrapped up in a plot to stop something that is inevitable, to do the slightest amount of good in this city. Those are high, lofty goals, and I don't think I'm going to grab all of them. And we're going to try.
How? Like,
why do you need Loveless? Why does she need you? She runs this town.
We're in business together. She and I, like I'm the money man, and she's she's the muscle. You always need the muscle and the money man.
What if you're the muscle and the money? Like, does she need you now?
I had a muscle. And his eyes sort of drift towards where Refi's like left the room.
Again, we can talk about that later. For now, I think you ought to consider what happens when the proverbial piggy bank that you are runs out of gold, which apparently you have, because here you are.
Listen, we had a plan, okay? It was get the formula, and then we're rich. It was a temporary setback, right? We start, sometimes you got your lowest before you're at your highest. So you just got to hold on a little bit longer. But as you're trying to convince him to sort of come to your side and see your point of view, I will allow you to make a request. Like basically you're trying to request for him to help you. What is it you're like, in clear terms, what is it you're trying to request of Mugland?
I think the end goal right now is to try to convince Mugland that the only cavalry that's coming is us, and he's been abandoned by his partner, and so entrusting his fate in our collective hands is the wise, or actually probably, frankly, the only play.
I think that makes sense in the context of what's happening, so I will allow you to make a request roll.
I feel like I'm going to use a hero point about that.
That's a 5 on the dice for a 24.
Heck.
Oh.
It'd be like that.
Sometimes it'd be like that. As you are trying to get him to come to your side and to see things your way, unfortunately, the words, they don't seem to hit home. This is a man who spent his life in the criminal underworld, who spent his life, trying to improve his status. And I think this talk and this notion of doing something right now can start, and getting him to come along with you and you're his meal ticket doesn't actually break through, and he just shakes his head. Sorry, but I still got some rods in the flame, so to speak. I'll take my chances. And he sort of like kicks back on the bed.
Glances over to Anita.
A part of me thinks that you already know, Ambrose, that Lovelace isn't in your side. I've never heard you fumble so much with your words until today. Every minute, every moment that I've spoken to you, you had this aura of confidence. I always thought you were an asshole. But now it's just, you're pitiful. Because I think that you know that your biggest ally doesn't work with you anymore. And one of your biggest assets is over there sulking because you're mean and you're rude, and I don't know. For someone who scares everyone else, not to be rude, it just seems so little.
I will give you one last hope here, Anita, if you would like to make a diplomacy check. I'll make a request roll. Given that the previous failure, I think the DC is even a little higher than it would have been before, but there's always a chance.
We're gonna clue in.
+1. Happy New Year. No. I'm gonna use the
Okay.
hero point.
4 on the dice makes 15, which is gonna be not a success, so let's hero point that up.
Come on. Show me the money. 25?
25. There's a slight crack in the steel sort of expression, and you see that you were very close, Anita, at breaking through, but unfortunately he just gives you like a nondescript shrug, rolls back over, and begins like whistling a song to himself. He's decided he's going to take his chances and wait for Lovelace. And I think seeing the way the situation has gone, Sharkosa nods one of the like prison guards to kind of come, and he's kind of sitting through the door at the end, and he sort of appears, and she just tells him to keep an eye on the prisoner, and she kind of like tries to gently usher you guys back to the meeting room so you guys can discuss next steps.
Okay. As Saruk is leaving, you want to get the formula for Pyronite to what end? To have a monopoly on it so you can patent it and sell it to others. I cannot count on 2 hands the amount of people that I've met since I've come to Alkenstar who can figure that out on their own. You're fighting a losing battle against the arc of innovation. There are not pocketbooks deep enough to stop this city. And Saruk will leave it at that.
And Ambrose Mugland is left whistling to himself, whistling an old nursery rhyme that Refi, he's whistled to you countless times growing up.
You're right there.
He'd whistle that usually after our lessons.
Just hand on shoulder, Saruk squeezes. And now he whistles it at the bottom of the barrel while you're walking out of here, a free man. Come on.
As you sort of settle back into the room, Sharkosa has poured herself another whiskey, and she's gone ahead and poured one for you, Saruk, and poured one for the rest of the outlaws as well. Not quite what you expected.
What's that phrase about getting blood from a stone?
Sometimes the man never lives up to the myth.
I think that man measures up just fine.
As you can see, he's obviously not been the most cooperative. You, as well as I know, Lovelace is not coming. Alas, he still owes a debt, one that I cannot in good faith let him go before it's squared away.
In a strange sense, I feel like that's good enough for me. There's a glance at all of the people who I haven't known for several months in this room. I'm very well aware of how outnumbered we are in this moment. And when we first met, I definitely had the sense you were going to harm me, but I think I misjudged you. My bias against this city bled out on you in a way that was not okay. And for what it's worth, I apologize.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check, and we're basically This is almost to see like how well your apology goes, to see if she truly accepts it, because no doubt about it, she was 100% offended about how things went down with you and her. And the way that you look at all the street trash criminals in the city is exactly the way that she's looking at you right now.
Yeah.
She is the high and mighty Saruk in this relationship.
That is not me looking at the Twitch. Yeah, okay. 26 it is.
Okay, I mean 26 is definitely enough to get her to see through, to see the see the sincerity. You're really sincere, and she says, "This city has a habit of bringing out the worst in people. I understand. However, despite the fact that Mugland has a debt in gold, you and I, Saruk, we still have a social debt, shall we say. My reputation on the streets is irrevocably tarnished now."
So what you're saying is you want me to let you publicly kick my ass so Alkenstar will accept you as one of its own again?
I mean, is that something that you are open to?
There are so many other things I need to tie up. Ask me soon. But I won't leave Alkenstar until I find some way to make it up to you.
Fair enough. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm coming to murder you. I just want you to know there is a debt.
I understand.
I am open to discussing next steps here.
Okay, so cards on the table. I don't think Mugland's going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah?
Cards on the table.
Mm.
If all goes according to plan, his debt will be settled by the end of the night.
You understand I have a problem with that.
I understand, but I think that maybe you've misjudged exactly what our mission is.
All right, tell me then.
Let's just say the life or death of Olamon Kosawana, up until an hour ago, I believed was already dead, mind you, is not our current objective.
What is then?
A heist, a score based on settling Mugland's debts. A target, one that he chose, one that he has personal vendetta against, one that should have enough gold in their stores to square us up.
So then at the end of the day, you're letting Mugland go.
Of course. Assuming he fulfills his end of the contract and we get our payday along with a little something else. A field test, as it were.
Of...
I think you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Pyronite.
Amazing stuff, that Pyronite.
Right? Let's say we just happen to be outside the front door when the job is done and Mugland's a free man, and then we take him into custody. Problem with that?
I'll do you one better. Stay here. The job should be done in any hour now. It's probably underway as we speak. When the job's done, I let him go into your custody. I've got no loyalty to Mugland.
What exactly is the job? I 90% agree with this. But if it's gonna hurt somebody that I care about or somebody who doesn't deserve it...
No. Who cares what the job is? We can't let Mugland just leave here and get back to his business.
True, but say it's the Barrel and Bullet, for example.
Saruk never said he's leaving here. He's coming with us.
Barrel and Bullet.
I have some friends who are staying there currently.
I doubt Dunsmith has the kind of coin necessary to settle these debts.
So who then? Again, cards on the table.
Suppose you can't do anything to stop us now. We were just there, but a few hours ago. The Steaming Kingdom.
So we're attacking sacred ground to test a new weapon and take their money then.
It was Mugland's idea.
That tracks. I don't know enough about the management of the place, but I don't have a working or friendly relationship with them, so I suppose that I don't care.
Why don't you do me a favor, settle in. As soon as we're squared up, I'll let you know I do have some business to attend to.
Very well.
She sort of stands up with like a little bit of a nod, sort of goes back through this back door. She goes, and like the Gilded Gunner that's with her goes, and this one kind of goes. Basically, they give you guys the room. You find yourself sort of alone in the middle of the Gilded Halls.
So that didn't go as planned.
If I'm honest with you, I think it went better. I suppose I could have brought more bacon. Man's more used to dealing with... Zerk doesn't finish the sentence, but the implication hangs.
Just a bit confused here. You weren't willing to trust them to keep their word in the bathhouse. But now that we're smack dab in the middle of their hideout, you're willing to just let them keep their word, finish the job, let Mugland fulfill the contract, and everything's fine.
If they wanted us dead, we'd have been dead 17 different ways since we come in here. Initially, when I'm meeting someone and all the information I have to go on is that time in the Temple of Dry they tried to kill us, and that time in the Mana Waste they tried to kill us. That's all I have, and I assume this is just another group of violent criminals who are just out to claw for a piece of the pie. In this context, there's more information. I don't like it. It's not work that I would do, but it's better than a lot of the city. And if I'm wrong and things go pear-shaped, then I will deal with that from there. But for now, this is what we have to work with. Mugland didn't want to listen to the fact that his friend, there's an air quote, isn't his friend at all and isn't coming to bail his ass out.
Why are we trying to negotiate with Mugland?
We aren't.
Can he walk out of his cell on his own?
Can he?
I knock on one of the doors.
The door opens and one of the gilded gunners just sticks their head in.
Tell Sharkosa we need to talk.
There's like a confused look and a nod, and the door closes.
What are you planning?
Like you said, we're negotiating, aren't we?
We are. If you're going to do something that escalates things in a negative way, I am not going to allow you to do that. Tell me what you're planning.
Told you, we're gonna negotiate.
Okay, how? Step one, what? You are intentionally leaving out information.
Seeing what Sharkosa wants, besides letting Mugland finish this job and walk out with more gold and possibly Loveless coming here, and then them hiring the Golden Gunners to kill us all.
Hang on. That's not what's happening. They're lifting that place so Mugland can pay his debt to Sharkosa, not so he can get more money.
What if Loveless then actually does come?
He's not getting money. They're getting money. They're pulling the job, and they're taking the cash.
Ruffy has kind of a point, but I feel like if Loveless shows up, that's 2 rocks with 1 stone, and we can all walk out of here.
Oh, I'm not walking out if Loveless comes in here.
This implies she kills you. We walk out of here because there's a shootout, and I wasn't feeling great about it before, but I shot a dragon out of the sky in the Mana Waste. I think I can handle a crooked cop.
This is true.
And if I can't, the rest of you can pick up the slack for me. But I see your point, Ruffy.
Right at this point, as you're discussing this, the sort of far end door opens, and Sharkosa steps through, looking slightly annoyed at the interruption. I was told you had a request.
Aye. This whole waiting around's not really my style. People like us, we're people of action, aren't we? Sitting around waiting, it's not for us. So tell me, what would it take for you to let us walk out with Mugland now? You still continue your job, you get paid, and you don't have to deal with Mugland complaining down in your cellars, whistling bad nursery rhymes. There's got to be something.
I suppose I have always wondered, Uldrak, which one of us had the fastest gun.
Aye, so did Uldrak. Uldrak's dead. You can tell that to that little man downstairs. I'm Refecule. And we'll see who has the faster draw.
The amount of cognitive dissonance that runs over Saruk's face as we are trying to organize this with violence that doesn't actually kill people.
So what you're proposing is a test of skill between the two of us.
Whatever you want to lay out. I'm asking you, what will it take to satisfy you to let us walk out with Mugland right here, right now?
I mean, there's nothing in this underworld that settles disagreements more.
Succinctly.
Man, I thought you were just gonna say suck and leave it.
As a duel, with stakes on the line. But you're asking for a lot, Reficule. She pointedly addresses you by the name that you requested, like showing that level of respect.
Is he asking for a lot, though? You still get what you want. You don't have to listen to someone who can't whistle on key to save his mortal soul, apparently. Either way, you win.
If you win, you take Mugland, free and clear. What do I get if I win? What do you have to offer?
Towards the group. My friend here owes you a social debt, does he not?
She nods.
And if he loses, I'll pay it much faster.
You said that your reputation was hurt. How would the reputation of the Gilded Gunners be if there weren't whispers of who was the faster draw between two rivals, but that the two fastest draws were working together? We win, I win. We walk out with Mugland. You win. I start buzzing around like a bumblebee.
Don't quite get the bumblebee reference, but I'm in. And she kind of walks across the room, reaches out for a handshake.
When she comes in, Saruk will whisper, "It's the color of your uniforms."
What you and Sharkosa have to decide, Refi, is what are the parameters of this duel? Because it doesn't sound like this is a duel to the death, right? We're not playing to killing blows necessarily.
As is custom, seeing as how Reficule brought up the proposition, it'll be up to Sharkosa to decide the parameters.
Sure.
She wants to duel to the death, Reficule is willing. But then that kind of negates part of that deal.
Right. I think what it'll be, standard fare in these sort of situations, is you duel until one side throws their weapon down and gives up. Either gives up or is rendered unconscious and loses their weapon. That's the terms. We're not playing to first blood. We're not playing to like half health. We're playing until one side or the other is willing to give up.
Give up or drop unconscious.
Yep. If you drop low and drop unconscious, yeah. There's no. So the implication is there's no explicit killing blow, but if you're unconscious, there's nothing that could really stop it from happening, right? Except for your allies and the situation around you. So based on the terms of these deals, Sharkosa agrees, basically invites you all to join her in their training hall, and she even gives the command for Mugland to be brought to witness the duel as well. If you guys want, you can go ahead and follow her token as she leads you through the Gilded Halls, giving you guys a little bit peek into their kind of underground situation. You see they do have a full armory with like racks of weapons and stuff that she kind of has to lead through to get you guys to where you're going. And she opens the door down here, and they have a full-on, like, it's a long martial arts gun range studio where there's like training dummies, there's like all kinds of weaponry. Basically, this is where many of the Gilded Gunners, even as you walk in, there's like a handful of them, and you can see them doing like katas and like being trained. They have like not just like a mental discipline, but a physical discipline here. Refi, you feel slightly at home here.
A bit better than an alley, that's for sure.
They bring on one side of the room, they bring Mugland. They bring the little like guard, like his personal guard outside his room. There's a handful of Gilded Gunners. Everyone, once the word gets out, there's like a scene. It's like, Sharkosa's gonna duel. Sharkosa's gonna duel. And like the people are getting excited and whispers are going through the place. They basically show up just to like witness what's going on. I'll give you guys a minute to sort of have a little pep talk and a plan. And then we're gonna do a duel to see who is the fastest gun in Alkenstar.
All right, Ruffy, how honest do you want this competition to be? Because I think that I could maybe make something to make you faster.
Nah, we'll see who's actually fastest.
All right.
What? Don't believe in me?
No, I do. It's just, I mean, logically, there's a 50% chance that you get out of here all black and yellow.
Never tell me the odds.
Whatever happens, where you go, I go.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys the far end of the hall to sort of talk and prepare and choose what you guys are going to do, and leave Sharkosa with her kind of crew on this end. You watch as like Sharkosa discards her like sort of like long duster that she wears, and underneath it you see she's got some like really not like bulky, but she is toned. She's got like rippling muscles, like no body fat on her. She is a lean, mean fighting machine.
Pick up your tongue there, Annie.
No, I'm very loyal to Maeve. I don't know. I don't even know, where is she? I'm kidding. No. Do well. Win.
Either way, bet gets paid today.
The call goes up to clear the dueling floor. Basically, Sharkosa sort of stands on one end of the hall, gun like at her side, holstered, coat off, rippling muscles. And Refi is going to set up essentially here too. And then anyone who doesn't want to be shot probably shouldn't stand in the middle. Either stand on one far side or the other.
All right, Refi, before I leave you, we remember our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how it goes. All right?
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Shooting, not counting.
The paces, all right? You count your paces, and then you, on the 10th pace, that's when you turn. Not before, especially not after.
Annie, have you seen a duel? That's only in stories.
All right. Well, I'm rooting for you.
So we are going to be running this with the dual subsystem that Pathfinder 2e does offer. So the real thing with duels is limited participants, right? You two are going to be rolling initiative, but initiative is re-rolled every round of combat instead of just once at the beginning and back and forth. So each round is its own initiative roll. You can choose to roll initiative with either perception, deception, or intimidation for each round. And it does unlock certain skills and reactions you can do. I don't know if that's too complicated, since neither one of us have ever run the system, if you want to dip into that far, or if you just want to essentially run it as is. But they are there if you want to dip into those reactions for whatever reason.
All right.
That being said, you can choose to roll. Like, there's this really tense moment as Refi and Sharkosa, the room grows like quiet, the sort of murmuring of the crowd going around. They've both got that gun tucked away. Within duels, you start with your weapon holstered. There's like this stare down as both of them are just like intensely waiting for someone to make the first move and reacting.
I think I'll use perception for this first one.
Sharkosa is also using perception, so go ahead and roll first round initiatives. Sharkosa with a 8. What's Ruffy gonna end up with?
Happy New Year.
No!
A 3 on the dice for a total of 17 on Ruffy.
Let me change these dice.
Ruffy, you're outdrawn in the duel. So here's the actual interesting part, right? This duel is about to go, and like Ruffy, like it's always like kind of like it never works in real life like it does in the movies. Like, of course you're just gonna draw and shoot first. There's no like timer. There's no signal. It's just who's gonna draw first, right? But like, yeah, points his pistol at the sky. But in this case, there's this tense moment, and she almost looks like she's gonna go for her weapon, which causes you to go for yours. Even though you make the first move, sort of, she's so fast that she goes for her weapon. She's reacting to you going for your weapon, and she's got it out even before you're ready. In fact, she's using an ability that she has that is actually pretty mean here. It's called Quickest Draw. Sharkosa is aware of at least one of her enemies and not flat-footed, and the trigger she rolls for initiative. As a reaction, she's allowed to draw and make a ranged strike just for rolling initiative. So she is blazing fast. She is no doubt the quickest gun here, Refi. And so as her reaction, she draws and shoots her dueling pistol at you. 15 on the dice, 31 total is a hit. And and she hits you for 10 points of concussive damage. That was just a reaction. Okay, now she has her turn. So, I think what she does is she then uses an action to reload her pistol. And you actually watch as she goes into her belt and she pulls out a nice solid golden bullet, and she like locks it into her weapon and reloads it with a golden bullet. Then she uses her second action to stride forward about 10 feet as she's like closing in on you, Reffy. And her third action will be to... Wait, how far was she when she started? She can't close the whole distance. No, she's not that fast. Yeah, she'll go the 5 feet, and then let me just see something real quick. Don't think yeah, you know what? She's just gonna target, and she's gonna shoot a second time with her. I guess this would be map. Yeah. Ooh, 2 on the dice. 13 makes this a critical miss. Don't know if you have anything that reacts on critical misses, but that's the end of Sharkosa's draw. She's quick on the draw. She gets one shot on you. She places a blast. Reffy, she is freaking fast. Now it's your turn.
I give a smile, bit of appreciative nod as a bit of blood running down from the wound. I'll draw my pistol as a free action.
Fast, but not as fast as drawing it on a reaction to rolling initiative and making a strike.
Yeah, and then I will close the distance as a free action, striding towards an enemy that I can see. Increasing Drifter's Juke. I'm just going to strike, shoot her. So I kind of run up and using kind of almost like gun kata in equilibrium. Strike with...
Very nice. 30 is a hit.
It's a 30. An eye for
Both
an
dealt
eye.
10 damage. Yep, an eye for an eye. 10 for 10.
And she's now flat-footed to my melee strike. And I'm going to use reloading strike. So I'll strike her at map.
Ooh, that's a natural 20. That's a critical hit.
Who knew after all this time you'd still be so good at Pathfinder?
Ooh, and
Oh my.
max damage. 34 points. And so we'll start with 34 points of damage. Ouch. And then Sharkosa has to make a fortitude save or be slowed 1. 2 on the dice for 17. You clock her upside the head and she becomes slowed 1. Losing one of her actions.
All right.
I crits in chat for that one.
That's only 2 actions. I guess I'll just... You know what? Third action. Yeah, cover fire. So she either has to duck and get +2 circumstance bonus and take a -2 to her range attacks, or I get a +1 circumstance bonus to that strike.
So it only affects her ranged attacks. So +2 circumstance against your attack. You know what? She'll take cover for the +2 AC and the -2 to ranged attacks. So I'll add the
I
cover
will
pop in.
strike at third map. It misses, but I was expecting it to miss.
Yeah, that'll be a critical miss.
All right,
Is that all your actions? That was all 3?
all 3, yeah.
All right, so we're going into round 2, which means we reroll initiative.
And I think I'll use intimidation this time.
Yeah, that seems to check out. Yeah. She's gonna roll with deception this time. So she rerolls to a 33. And you reroll to a 21. Close, but no cigar. So she still goes first on the next round of combat. But she only has 2 actions thanks to the slowed condition. So she looks dazed, and you've come in and you've done this flurry of blows on her. She half respects it. And as she feels a little woozy, and she's got the sort of like pistol, her pistol's not even loaded right now. As you come and strike, you see like her left hand like goes into like a fist, and she uses an ability she has, which is takes 2 actions and it's called 1-2 punch. And so she's allowed to make 3 melee strikes with her knuckle duster, like a flurry back at you. Each one does count as a map. It's just, she can make 3 for 2. So her first strike.
I think they're math's a little off with that, with what it's called.
1-2-3 punch. So 31 is a hit. So that's 14 points of damage. Then it's a map attack with the second one. 18 is a miss.
That's a miss.
And then a map attack on the last one. 19 on the dice for 27, so that's another hit. But minimum damage, I guess. Double ones, 12 damage. So it's like bam, bam, bam. She gets you with 2 out of the 3 strikes, bringing you down pretty low. Like she packs a mean punch up close as well. That was all 3 of her actions.
First action, I will do reloading strike.
Even though you haven't fired yet, you're just reloading strike. You're just like flipping bullets and smacking her.
No, I did fire. Cover fire was my last action.
Right, you did. Cover fire was the action. So that is a miss.
I'm going to use a hero point.
Before I forget, when she punches you, there's another effect on her on each strike that hit that I forgot about. For the first strike that she hit, I need you to make a fortitude save. 24, success. So you're unaffected. And also for the second one that hit, you need to make a fortitude save on that one too. 17 is a failure. You actually become confused. So the confused condition, you're flat-footed. No one is treated as your ally. You have to use all your actions to strike or cast offensive cantrips. As long as you focus, you can go ahead and continue to attack Sharkosa. 28
Hits.
You did deception, so you can do deceptive sidestep.
I did perception.
Oh, perception, never mind. Which is sense weakness.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so that's a hit. So she will roll damage. That's 17 points of damage. And then I need you to make a fortitude save against the concussive fist. 21 is a failure, so you're going to be confused again.
I think I'll use a hero point.
Okay, probably a good time to use one if you got one. Oh, that's one of those hero points that makes it worse, but luckily not critically
That's all my
worse.
hero points. That's all my hero points. Literally every time.
She did, on her first turn, she did draw, shoot, reload, step forward. I remember, she has a shot chambered, a golden bullet, right? I believe so. So, with her second shot, as she sees you woozy, she will sort of step around the other side of you, and then she will draw her weapon with the chambered golden shot, and she'll use her map attack to try to shoot you with the golden shot.
Okay, I hit the dirt.
Ooh. See that reaction? You fling yourself out of harm's way, you leap. So leap allows you to jump up to 10 feet horizontally. Is your speed 30 feet?
25?
Okay, so you can jump 10 feet in any horizontal direction that you wish as a reaction. You jump away from her, getting a +2 circumstance bonus to your AC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me put that in real quick.
Yeah, and you'll land prone after your leap. So I'm assuming like the leap happens, you're not prone until after the leap happens. So, okay, I'll roll the map. So you're flat-footed, which would hit the 20. So your AC is normally 24. It's down to 22 because you're flat-footed, but it goes back up to 24 because you leapt and got the +2 circumstance bonus, which means the 23 doesn't hit. It just misses.
Yep.
Oh, wait, nope, sorry. She's using her golden bullets, which gives her a +1 circumstance bonus to the strike. Oh no, it's only against targets with lesser cover and greater cover. This isn't technically cover. Yeah, no, it misses. The bullet flies, Refi jumps out of the way and like sort of like Matrix dodges the bullet as it goes like right past him, and he misses, and she kind of curses. You land prone, but that is all 3 of her actions. Bring it on.
I stand up. So I step. I shoot.
Oh boy. That's a critical hit. This could be dangerous.
Oh, such low rolls.
Yeah, but she's near death. She makes a fortitude save. and succeeds.
Do you yield?
There is this moment where she's like freaking near death. Like she's near death. Refi's actually pretty low, but not quite near death. She's like stunned at this revelation, and you can see that her sort of gun hand is like shaking just a little bit, and you see her like kind of like raising it like she's gonna like shoot it again, and you think there might be a moment where she's about to go into like another round of combat, and she just like lets the weapon fall, and like in slow motion it sort of clangs to the floor against her feet. She does indeed yield. Right, there's some amazing
pistol twirl my dueling pistol back into the holster, and then I hold out my hand to help her up.
She's not actually down.
No, I know. I'm just. It's
Okay.
for the moment.
So yeah, you're so in this like sort of slow motion thing, like Refi, like you reach out, you're trying to like help her like steady herself, and she like appreciates that. In this sort of slow motion victory, right? We pan over, we see like Saruk, Refi, Anita, or Saruk, Hal, Anita. What are you guys doing watching like Refi in this sort of like one-on-one duel? Like has taken out Sharkosa single-handedly.
I think Saruk is just thoughtfully like watching the exchange back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then when it lands as it does, there's just this kind of like slow and thoughtful nod, or like the nod one gives when a scenario goes exactly the way you expected it to.
I think you see a little bit of disappointment in Hal's eyes that Reficule was successful, because when he turned to the dark side, then there might have been a different ending to the story.
Anita was just a hype woman for Refi the entire time. So every time he had like a good hit, Anita and Wyba would have been like dancing as a robot. And then Anita would have just been yelling.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was confused. I could have shot at Ambrose.
Yeah, I was trying to minimize collateral damage when you're confused in a duel. Like just randomly picking people in the room and blasting at them. That'd have been funny, but probably not conducive to the duel. So yeah, so there's this slow motion. Annie and Wyber's doing the like cheer. All the focus is on you and them, and you can see the Gilded Gunners are kind of like completely taken aback that you can go toe to toe with Sharkosa and stand up and hold your own. But you know, they respect the rules of the duel. None of them are trying to interfere. There's a sort of polite sort of like clap and a cheer for like the camaraderie, and you're like kind of gripping and kind of steadying her and like help her keep her balance as you guys sort of like shake hands. She looks at you kind of out of breath, blood trickling down her face, and she says, "A deal's a deal, Reficule. You are maybe not the fastest gun, but certainly one of the toughest motherfuckers."
Aye, let it be known I might have won the duel. There's no doubt who's the fastest gun in Alkenstar, and I lift up Sharkosa's hand.
Yeah, you lift up Sharkosa's hand in turn, and everyone's cheering. So here's what happens here, right? There's like, in the slow motion, everyone's cheering, everyone's doing this like camaraderie thing. Mugland is sitting there. He's got his like hands like tied behind his back. He's watching the whole thing sort of unfold. He looks kind of wide-eyed at the situation, realizing that what's about to be happened is he's about to be handed over to you guys. He does a sort of look to his side and gives like the slightest of nods. And the sort of guard that's been guarding him outside his jail cell this whole time looks down at him. And there's a slow motion that nobody notices with all this going on. He kind of like reaches under his coat and he tosses a tiny little halfling-sized pistol. And Mugland sort of pulls his hands back that has been untied this whole time and grabs his dueling pistol. And in one smooth motion, aims it right at Reficule. And then just a little bit to the right and pulls the trigger and shoots at Sharkosa. What we'll do is we'll pick up here. This is sort of what's unfolding. So I think what we'll do at the next episode, this isn't like he's trying to aim, right? So we will let everyone roll initiative using perception to see how well you can react to what's unfolding. But essentially, we're moving into phase 2 of this situation, as all RPGs go. It always downward spirals a little bit. Yeah, I think allowing you guys all to roll initiative versus this is the fairest thing to do. So in that case, we'll end with this, like, the gun sort of aims at Refi and then just points a little bit over at Sharkosa, and the screen goes like completely black, and then you hear the sound of like a shot being fired, but we don't know what happened because we won't know until we find out what happens next week. So I am impressed, Reficule, that you're able to actually win that duel one-on-one, because that was not the easiest thing. You rolled pretty damn well, for sure.
If I'd rolled better initiative.
Yeah, I think you were the only one that crit with the firearm, which dealt like a huge chunk of her damage, right? Crits and firearms is really what it comes down to be. But it's unfortunate that this sort of budding respect had to be punctuated with the back pocket plan of Ambrose Mugland. And yeah, we're pretty much going into what is essentially depending on how next week goes, it could be the last episode of the book, depending on how much it takes you guys to wrap up, right? Like we're here at the end, right? This is Mugland. He's armed. We're in a tough spot. Let's see how it goes next week, guys. It might take a few more episodes. I know there's probably a lot of role play that you guys would like to do, and closing out, like tying up loose ends before we end the book. But
It is not helping Refi's distrust of halflings.
the reality is we are really at the last few episodes for sure. If not the last one, we're in the last couple.
It'd be like that. This is the last episode of book 2. 6 combat sessions later, you're actually
Yeah,
there.
you don't know, right? You don't actually know. However, that is going to do it for us this week in Alkenstar. Big thank you to Ninna, Richard, Ricardo, Tommy. Thanks for playing, guys. It's been too long. It's been fun. Once we get rolling, well-oiled machine.
The wellest, oiledest.
The wellest and the oiledest.
Can't wait for next week's ad read.
I'm sure nothing shitty will happen in the tabletop role-playing game community, and it'll be totally fine, and I won't have anything to poke at.
Yeah, it'll be
famous last
perfect.
words.
So I do want to take a minute here and thank those who are super important here, especially since we haven't had any content in the last few weeks. Thank you to our patrons who support us on Patreon. The list keeps growing, and if you haven't already, give us a look at patreon.com/recallknowledge. You can get behind the scenes look at upcoming contents, early releases of episodes before they hit YouTube, a special Discord channel. We play games, we play Blood in the Clock Tower, we do all kinds of fun stuff. So let's give them a shout out really quick. Thank you to David Sims, Sandra Wagner, Jason Irvin, Sam Skaggs, Jay, Ellie Boyle, Paul G, Anish Herman, J. Michael Spencer, David Morrison, Perseus13, Jerome Rachetti, Matthew Bordeaux, Philip Kuhn, and John Kahi. You guys are awesome. That list is getting too long. We're gonna have to take turns
Literally, you
reading
get
it.
extra people every week. There is somebody else on that list. That's dope.
It tends to add 1 or 2 per week, yeah. So that
More
is cool.
importantly,
So, was that?
we are a few short patrons away from Steve completing his Abomination Vaults GM series.
Yep.
Guys, I haven't even finished my Alkenstar GM prep series, let alone
You did
Outlaws of
Abomination Vaults first. That makes no sense. Don't worry, guys.
Got you
Get more
there.
patrons on Patreon, and you can burn this man out even more by throwing more
Promise
content.
is, if we hit $100 a month goal, we get that unlocked, right? So I'll hold to it. I'll just cancel our games on Wednesday until it's done.
And I will go play Blood on the Clock Tower and cry until I get to come back, I guess.
Yeah, but no, there is a huge demand out there for Abomination Vaults, and we're close. So, if you're interested in getting some Abomination Vaults GM prep, push us over the limit, and I'm a man of my word. I will get it done. I just don't know what day. Probably not canceling on Wednesdays, but we'll get it done.
Better not.
Yeah, Rick's right. Go do it. Go get your friend to sign up and say Steve will do Abomination Vaults. So finish Abomination Vaults.
How short
I did
are you
all of book
guys?
1.
Just,
I need to do book 2 and book 3.
just idle curiosity. How short are you guys right now?
I don't know.
Is it like
I'm not gonna look because I don't want to know.
He's
right
playing dumb.
Rick?
He's playing dumb.
Rick, how
I
short are
actually
you
don't
guys?
know. Beyond that, before anyone's able to look and push us over the edge, big thanks to Molten Hosting for providing our server hosting, making it so easy. Use that referral code RECALLKNOWLEDGE.
One word.
One word.
Get your first month for free. Check them out at moltenhosting.com. If you're a patron, you can get into our chat and link to our Blood on the Clock Tower video we streamed last Wednesday with Mike from Molten Hosting playing, and Tommy got to play for the first time as well. So it was a cool sponsor came and played on our channel. We'll be back next week. We are looking at May 3rd. What?
It's
it
gonna
May?
be May.
We're May. Richard, I think we have a Bastion this week. Is that true?
Yeah, that is on the books.
All right,
As long
back
as the
before next
universe
one.
doesn't, throw a wrench in our plans, we are scheduled for Bastion this Friday, episode 7. So
7 of 8. It's like an 8
yeah,
episode
7 of 8.
miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
So the penultimate episode. Come watch it Friday night and watch us
Season 1.
in the Grimdark. Of season 1. Watch us in the Grimdark. We're gonna be back May 3rd at 7 o'clock Pacific as we potentially have our showdown with Mugland once and for all, and I have another week to practice my Irish accent. I'll just go to
really bad
meetings all
Indian
week
accent that you're calling
with
an
the Irish accent. Yeah, maybe he's Indian. I don't know. Not intentionally, but thanks for shaking off that the rust with me, guys, and getting back into the game. It was fun. We'll be back in a week. Any other shout outs? Tommy, you got stuff going on?
I was about to cut you off and be like, hey, wait a minute. Well-oiled machine, it's my turn. Hi, my name is Tommy. I do things on the internet under the handle Black Dragon Gaming. Since I've talked to you all last, I've released not as many videos as I once thought. I have a bunch of like half-edited skits about the fucking Hound of Tyndalos and how bullshit that was. But I've done a couple D&D videos and a couple shorts about like conversions from that game that hires union busters to chase down people, and the amount of people who are screaming boycott on Twitter since we started is it feels good inside. But more importantly, I decided maybe like earlier this week that in addition to singing for my supper on YouTube and singing for my supper in the form of like running games on the internet for people, which there's a Discord link in there, and if you're interested in having a pro GM traumatize you with your backstory and bully you with better rolls than you, well, you know where to find it. I am putting several more feet into the third-party creation space. I've done some stuff with Eldritch Osiris. I've done some like stuff as like Kickstarter awards, and I was like, you know what? I really like this. And at some point in my life, I'm going to be a 40-something diabetic man, and I feel like working for game companies is a probably better, slightly better retirement strat than just freelancing my face off for the rest of my life. So I don't have anything right now. It turns out building a website and getting a portfolio to look good takes a lot of time. And I have learned that in these endeavors, the slower we go, the faster we get there. And God knows I burn out really easily. But before this is done, y'all will have links thrown there for where you can get access to all of my content that's going to go on Infinite and like the big platform that I am building. I'm thinking at the moment it's probably going to be just like player options, like campaigns and deities and classes and ancestries, depending on what the face of 2E looks like in a year. But when I know, y'all will know.
Well, as we learned today, it might be like 2.25E or something like that. 2.5E, Pathfinder 2E, Unchained, whatever we're referring to it as. A lot of options. But if that doesn't work out, you can always get a job with the Pinkertons and still be in the role-playing game community.
See, yeah, I'd be
another.
right in the space, and I'd get a lot of free magic. God. Also, I see your all's Patreon, and I was gonna be like, yeah, I'm covering that. I'm taking you guys to $100 right out. But if somebody else has these with the remainder on that, I could cover the other.
I checked. I think we're 15 short right now. So, yeah, gulp. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Take it easy. Dance
Won't
party
be
out.
gone
We got
for a month,
some
don't
dance
worry.
music.
Yeah, there's those shitty toms.
There we go. Until next time, everyone, stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.